Adolf Hitler suffered, it seems, from a genetic disorder that stunts normal puberty. Researchers have extracted his DNA from a swatch of fabric with Hitler's blood from the sofa on which he killed himself. The results of which will be revealed this weekend in a Channel 4 documentary titled Hitler's DNA, Blueprint of a Dictator. I've been speaking to Professor Turi King, Director of the Milner Centre for Evolution at the University of Bath, who led this research for the documentary, and I asked if she'd had any reticence about taking on the project.
Well, you're absolutely right. I did agonise over it. When I was first asked to be involved, my first question is, I really don't want to do this if it's going to be sensationalist. And I did wonder, given who he is, but, there have been thousands of archaeological and historical individuals who've had their whole genomes sequenced, including Beethoven. And I thought, well, actually, why should Hitler be exempt from that? He's, we can't put him on some sort of pedestal as some sort of mystical person that we can't do this with. The other thing is the swatch is available, so it's going to be done at some point. So let's make sure it's done in the most rigorous, scientifically possible way. And we genuinely didn't know what we were going to find, and as it is, he has a very interesting genome.
I'll come to that in a second. Are you absolutely sure that this swatch, this sample you tested, is genuine?
Yes. So this is where I'm obviously taking the genetic evidence alongside all the other evidence, such as what's the provenance of this swatch. We know about how it came to be in the possession of a family. It was the public information officer of Eisenhower who cut it out of the sofa when he was one of the few men who was allowed into the bunker. It stayed in the family for decades, then ends up at a museum. The fabric looks right. Then when you do the DNA, so you've got a genetic match with a distant male line relative, which allows us to look at a piece of DNA known as the Y chromosome, and you get a perfect match, and it's incredibly rare. And then you also have to ask, well, how likely would it be that another male line relative of Hitler would have managed to get himself into the bunker and bleed on the sofa where Hitler killed himself? And the chances are incredibly remote. So yes, we can be happy that this is the blood of Hitler.
Okay, so the what? What did we reveal in the genetic profile?
Well, so we looked at it two ways. One was a pure kind of, we're not interested in anything in particular. Let's just run it through the NHS pipeline, see if anything pitches up. But also, there's been a lot of medical biographers who have looked at Hitler and they've tried to sort of diagnose him. There's historical information about how he had right-sided cryptorchidism, so an undescended testicle. So we did look at genes associated with sexual development, and this is the Pasteur team who are experts in this area, and they noticed very quickly that he has a very rare but very well characterized genetic deletion in a gene known as PROC2, which has implications for the development of sexual organs, low testosterone levels, and in 5 to 10% of cases, a micro penis. And I confess, I never thought in a million years that I would be chatting about Hitler's genitalia on television.
You're a scientist. You're not a historian, and it's debatable how that affected his psyche and his politics. But he was open to ridicule because of that, and at the time.
Absolutely. And I think this is the really important thing. We have Alex Kay, who is a historian, who is the co-presenter of the project with me. And all of this, when you do it, you want to base it within what we know about him as an individual. We already know about this historical information. And so the genetics matches up with that. It cannot tell us about the size of his genitalia, but it's certainly intriguing given what we know about him already.
And just a very final quick one, you also disproved the spurious claim that he had Jewish ancestry, which the Russian foreign minister referred to very recently.
Yes, that's right. We wouldn't have gotten the genetic match with the Hitler family if he had had that Jewish ancestry, as was put about in the rumors as far back as the 1920s. So we can put that to bed as well.
Professor Turi King with a fascinating insight into the genetic history of Adolf Hitler.